Good morning. It's Saturday the 27th of August 2022 and I'm back in the Vale of Edale. Now I'm just outside the village itself and I've parked my car on a rough lay-by on this lane here. I'm in a place called Barber booth. So I'm very close to where I've been doing my last few walks, but hopefully this one will be quieter. And the beauty for me is I've not actually done this particular walk before, so I'm looking forward to that. From the Barber booth car park, I walked along the lane beneath the railway viaduct. After another 100 yards, I went over a stile beside a gate on the right. My path headed beside a stream towards Manor House Farm and the hill beyond. Okay, let's just stop a minute and I'll just take in what's around me. So, over there behind me, that's the Great Kinder Scout. You just make out Jacob's ladder climbing up onto it. And over this side, don't know if it can be seen very clearly because I'm filming into the sun over this way, but that's the Great Ridge where I did my last walk. So, Mamtor is nearest to us, and then Loose Hill is at the far end. But today I'm going up here. I'm climbing up onto there. So that's where I've actually not walked onto before. Beyond the fields, I went through a gate at the top to emerge onto a rough track, known as Chapel Gate, where I turned right. So I've now arrived at Chapel Gate. This old track is an ancient route that ran between Chapel on the Frith and Edale. So I'm going to be walking a section of it now. I climbed steadily across the northern flank of the hill for about half a mile before the gradient began to ease. It's levelling out a bit now, so I'll get my breath back hopefully. So whilst it's quiet and there don't appear to be many people around, it might be a good opportunity for me to just talk about something. Now, if you've been following my channel, you'll know that I had a break from filming fairly recently, and that was because I moved house. So it wasn't anything really exciting, I did say. Yeah, so I moved house. Just to give a bit of background now, I've never owned my own property. I won't go into the whys, wheres and hows. I've always lived in private rented accommodation. But as I've been getting older, and particularly after the last time I moved, which was 4 years ago, if you've been watching my films for several years now, you may recall that I moved house 4 years ago, and that was because the landlord who owned the flat that I was living in at that time decided without any warning that he wanted to sell it, so I suddenly had to move. So that's where I've been living for the last 4 years, and the place I moved to from there. But because of that happening, and me getting older now, I didn't want that in the back of my mind. I didn't want that feeling of thinking, oh my God, you know, is the landlord going to sell this flat again? I didn't want that sort of Just feeling of uncertainty, really. So I have actually been on my local housing list for some years now. But last year, I reached a certain age, and reaching that particular age, I went higher up on the list. So 3 months ago, I was offered the place in which I've now moved. So yeah, finally, I've been offered my own, well, it more or less is my own place, even though it's still rented. But it's not like renting through a private landlord where, as I say, you never know if they might suddenly decide to sell up for whatever reason, or just throw you out because they can do. I mean, I just think private landlords have got you over a barrel. But this is a housing association managed place, and I know now that even if I never move again, I don't have to. I know now that basically this could be my forever home. So, I mean, it may not be, who knows, but, you know, if I choose never to move again, I don't have to now, and that's the beauty. It's just a huge weight off my shoulders now. So yeah, basically the week before the bank holiday, the Platinum Jubilee bank holiday week, I had a phone call from my local housing association offering me this place, or offering me a viewing. So I went to view it the following week, and I thought, yeah, I like it. So yeah, I've moved in, and it's great. So yeah, I had a few other things planned this year, but because of the house move, I cancelled them. So I just thought, well, obviously, you know, I need to get on with the house move, that's a priority, and then anything else that I had planned, I can do another time. I mean, I had actually planned to go down to Monmouthshire, where I grew up, before I knew that I was going to be off of this flat, because there was a school reunion. That would have been great. I mean, as much as I hated school, it would have been nice to have seen people that I used to go to school with after 40 years. Wow. So yeah, but that sort of happened close to when I was moving, so I decided to cancel that, unfortunately. And the week that I actually was offered the keys to the flat, I was also meant to be going away. I'd booked a holiday, so that had to be cancelled. But again, at least with that, I know that I can always go back and have that holiday again another time. So yeah, for the few months that I hadn't been filming, I was just focusing on sorting out the move. So, and it was great. It worked out really well this time. For the first time ever, I actually had like a month overlap in between the two flats. So I gave a month's notice for the flat that I was moving out from, but when you pick up the keys to the new flat on the day that you view it, basically you then sign up for it then and you pay rent as of that day. So I had a month overlap in between the two places, which in many ways was very helpful. I didn't actually lose any money, even though I was overlapping between two places, paying rent on two properties, because what you don't do with a housing association, which you normally have to do with private landlords, you have to pay a month's deposit before you move in, plus the first month's rent, and sometimes you have to pay additional fees, like admin fees if it's through a letting agent. Didn't have any of that. I just had to pay the first month's rent, and that was it. And the rent is a lot cheaper in this place as well. Private landlords, I mean, I was paying £550 a month for my one-bed flat. I mean, it was a nice flat, but that's a lot of money. Whereas now, in my new place, through the housing association, I'm paying less than £400. So what a difference, eh? But yeah, so apart from paying a lot less rent, I know that it's going to be my forever home if I want to. I know that I can now relax and think no one's going to throw me out. Unless I misbehave myself, I suppose. Which I can't see myself doing, really. But no, it's, as I say, it's my home, this place, even though it's still rented. It's more my own place because, unlike with my place that I've lived in with private landlords, I had to get my own carpet, and I also had to get my own white goods, so that was my own cooker, fridge and washing machine. But I'd been saving up for some years actually, because I knew that at some point that I would be moving. So I had been putting money aside in preparation for this move. So yeah, so unlike the last move, which was totally unplanned, this move was planned. I just didn't know when it was going to happen. So yeah, so I'm now in my new place, got the carpets down, white goods in. I've been living there now for 2 months. And it's lovely. It's a lovely home, lovely quiet cul-de-sac. It's not far from where I was living. I'm still in Matlock, but yeah, it's a nice place, and I hope to have many, many happy years there. I'm starting to get views over the other side now. I'm looking westwards. So over there, don't know if you can see it very clearly there, but over there in the distance is Chapel-on-the-Frith, capital of the peak. And just over that way, in the distance, a bit further away, that's Whaley Bridge. Well, I've reached the main ridge path now. If I was to go down there, that ends up on the road which goes into Chapel-on-the-Frith. But I'm going up this way. I'm taking the ridge path in the direction of Mamtor and Hollins Cross. But I'm not going that far this time. The path took me eastwards along the top of Rushup Edge, following the wall for about 3/4 of a mile to my next stop. It now seems that I'm approaching the highest point of today's walk. Yeah, this is exciting. As I said, I've not been here before, so I'm now approaching what they call Lord's Seat. So Lord's Seat is managed by the National Trust. As the sign says, this ancient barrow is a 4,500-year-old burial mound and a designated scheduled monument. Oh, fan-bleeding-tastic again. Oh, what a fantastic view. That's lovely. Don't know if you can see it clearly, but behind me there you can just see the quarry side of Eldon Hill. Yeah. And of course down there to my right you can see the clear view of the Great Ridge. Absolutely wonderful. Of course I did that on my last walk with Lou and Lol and their group. Yeah, lovely. I can see right down into the Vale of Edale. Just wonderful. Yeah, just see the village of Edale down in the bottom there. Barber booth down there somewhere where I parked my car this morning. And then of course, right on the skyline at the back is the Great Kinder Scout again. Absolutely wonderful. So having reached Lord's Seat, I've now made it to the highest point on today's walk. So that means it's all downhill from now on. Looking forward to it. So I'll move on and I'm going to head down there towards the Great Ridge, but I'll be turning off before I reach Mamtor this time. sarnie time. What a great spot to eat my lunch. Great views from here. There we are. There's my cheese and pickle sarnie, made by my own fair hands this morning. I can see Mam Tor behind me, and it's absolutely heaving with people. I mean, I'm not knocking Mam Tor in any way. I mean, obviously I did the walk a couple of weeks ago with Lou and Lol, and it's a lovely walk, but you've always got to be prepared to see lots of people there because it is so popular. And of course, it's quite easily accessible as well, because the car park's only just below it, so it's not really a long climb to get to it. So really, if you want to see Mam Tor without anybody else, you've either got to be prepared to get up at the crack of dawn or stay until sunset. So, but either way, it's always worth visiting Mam Tor. I'm not knocking it, it's a beautiful spot. Well, if that was lunch, I've had it. Full of cheese and pickle sarnie now. I'll walk it off now as I continue with the rest of the walk.
The ridge path gradually fell more steeply, before dropping abruptly to the lane at Mam Nick.
So now that I've reached the lane here at Mam Nick, it would be quite easy just to follow the lane down towards Edale and follow it back to Barber Booth. But I think the more pleasant route would be if I go through that gate where those people are over there and follow a footpath down the other side of the fence. Just on the last leg of the walk now.
Through the gate, I branched left and headed straight down the hill.
I'm slowly descending back into the Vale of Edale now, so I think now is the perfect opportunity to give a shout out. And today's shout out goes to a fellow YouTuber who I'm proud to have as a friend, and that's Rachel. Hi Rachel, hope you're well. Now Rachel has a YouTube channel called Rambling Rachel UK, and Rachel is based in Northampton, but she comes to Derbyshire a lot. She loves Derbyshire because she loves the hills, and I've met Rachel several times now because she's been on some of Lou and Lol's group walks. But perhaps more importantly, where Rachel is concerned, she's actually led a lot of the walks I've been on with Lou and Lol. And she's a real born leader on walks. And actually she's recently passed her assessment for being an official lowland leader. So she is qualified as a lowland leader now. So well done, Rachel. But yeah, Rachel's YouTube channel is great. She's done a lot of wild camping videos and walking videos, and as I say, a lot of them have been in Derbyshire, so do check her channel out, it's great. She's a lovely lady, and yeah, a good friend of mine, so hope to see you soon, Rachel.
Reaching a narrow lane, I followed it downhill through a wooded clough, turning left to cross fields and a stream.
Actually, whilst I think about it, there is one more thing I ought to mention. If you've been following my recent films, you'll remember that one of them I had to refilm because I lost the micro SD card from the camera. And people have said, oh, that'll turn up. Well, it won't. Well, not for me anyway, because I lost it in my previous home. I've moved now, so I'll never find it. As I say, it's no big deal now because obviously I remade that film and you know, SD cards can be reused. I've got spares anyway. I always had spare SD cards, but yeah, so it's no big deal. But as I say, if that SD card ever does turn up, it won't be me that finds it. So here I am back at Barber booth. So I'm nearly at the end of the walk. And it's been another lovely walk. Yeah, a new walk today. To say, I've never walked up Chapelgate before, or up to Lord's Seat. So it's been really nice to do a different walk in the Peak District. You know, a walk that I've never done before. Even though I know the Peak District like the back of my hand, there are still lots of walks I still haven't done. So, and this was one of them. It's been really great. So yeah, just got to walk along the lane there, the other side of the railway bridge, and that's where my car is parked, in that little lay-by. So yeah, about a 20-mile drive back to Matlock, back to my lovely new home where I know I'm going to be happy. Yeah, great stuff. So, I wonder where my next walk will be.